Joining us now on Sports Talk ATL is Fox 5's own Miles Garrett, who is live at the Reese's Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. I know we've heard a lot about Ladd McConkey, Roman Wilson. What has stood out the most from you, Miles, so far at the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, no, obviously you said Ladd McConkey. He was the talk of the Senior Bowl yesterday here in Mobile. They're actually out stretching right now. A lot of dog helmets down here in front of me as we speak. But if we're talking Georgia real quick, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksain, another name to watch, a guy that has risen up draft charts according to some insiders who I spoke to here. I think ESPN announced that he was a big riser yesterday. Could be a guy that may sneak his way into the 4th, 5th round type, who was maybe previously an undrafted free agent type thought. As far as the Georgia guys are concerned, we all know what they can do. He's a big name for sure. I can't pronounce his last name with Alabama, the defensive lineman, number 92. I'm looking at him right now. He certainly made an impression yesterday too, beating guys off the block, a guy that, is certainly someone Atlanta could consider just on the defensive line based on, their needs. They obviously need an edge rusher should he fit that mold. It's been a big day for the receivers. I think that's something I've noticed. Brandon Rice was a guy that I don't think has had a good day. Obviously, he's been a big name just because of his last name, being Jerry Rice's son. It's funny. We talk about last names. Ed McCaffrey's son, Christian McCaffrey's brother, receiver out of Rice, has looked very good out here too. So a host of different names. Michael Penix Jr. definitely the best quarterback, in my opinion, that I've seen here so far.
I was about to say, somebody's throwing to those wide receivers over there. So I know Bo Nix is there. I know Michael Penix is there. Obviously, the Falcons are going to be in the market for a quarterback. Well, it's a free agent trade for Justin Fields. One of these drafts, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. Talk about some of the things you've seen there from Michael Penix and Bo Nix, at least.
Yeah, Bo hasn't had a good day today, especially. From what I've seen, he's been late on some throws, has underthrown some guys, per se. Penix started off a little rusty for me today, but really picked it up when they kind of had full on, I guess, it wasn't necessarily 7-on-7, but I guess just kind of scrimmaged reps with guys running routes, obviously getting some pressure in the pocket. He looked very good, and I think we all kind of knew that. I think kind of coming in, we assumed that Michael Penix was that 4th guy. I don't think there's any question about his ability. It's really the injury stuff that you're kind of worried about, and maybe his age when it comes to Michael Penix Jr. Sam Hartman, another guy that has been playing, who I don't think really is on the same tier. There's other two as well as Spencer Rattler. I'm hearing that the league is a little bit higher on Spencer Rattler than maybe some fans are making it out to believe. Now, I don't believe that personally, but maybe they just see the raw talent that he has. We all know he has it, but he hasn't really been able to put it together.
Yeah, I was telling Chase on our show yesterday that, fans see and self-scout these guys a lot differently than NFL teams do. And you have to consider circumstances and compartmentalizing, the kind of situation that Spencer Rattler was in. That South Carolina offensive line was absolutely horrible. Spencer Rattler, we know who the kind of guy he was coming out of high school, uber talented. I think he was the top recruit in his high school class. He's got all the talent in the world arm-wise. So I'm not necessarily surprised that what you're hearing that, some of the guys in the NFL are higher on Spencer Rattler than fans are, because as a fan of college football, you saw what he did at South Carolina, and frankly, it wasn't that much. But if we're just talking about projectability, I mean, he's got the arm.
Yeah, no, he kind of falls in the same category. Maybe it's kind of different a little per se, as I'm watching him right now, Joe Milton, just as a guy who's just huge, has that rocket arm, can throw it a mile, but we haven't necessarily seen it all getting put together on the field as some of these other guys might have. Bo Nix has had his faults, but he's done enough to win games the last couple seasons, especially this past season in Oregon. To me, the clear best quarterback here, in my opinion, has been Michael Penix.
Yeah, I believe Latu out of, I think it's UCLA. He's out there right now. I believe he's out there. Have you gotten a chance? Because he's definitely a guy, when you talk about the defense side of the ball, high up the board in the first round. He's probably one of the better prospects out there. Has he been making any noise? Have you noticed anything out of him?
Nothing that stands out in particular. He's also a guy that I think doesn't necessarily need the Senior Bowl. I think he's here to obviously he got the invite, but I think he's a guy that these reps won't really impact his draft stock all too much, just because of what we saw out of him in college. But he certainly, we know who he is. He's been a standout here thus far. Maybe not compared to some of those other guys. Like I said, Lad McConkey was really the talk of the town yesterday, just because of the plays he was making in wide receivers. You see more of that type play when you're watching from the stands. But who knows? It was day one. We still got some time to really assess this. They're going through drills as we speak. We'll see kind of what they go through on those more aligned drills, not just the positional drills that are going on right now. So you kind of get a better vibe for that once that's over.
Yeah, you mentioned Lad McConkey, and me and Chase talked about him yesterday on the show. And I think that, we're Atlanta-based, so we know who Lad McConkey is. I think a lot of the other country, the rest of the country, is getting to know who Lad McConkey exactly is. Georgia fans know him. A lot of Falcons fans who are also Georgia fans know who he is. I think a lot of people, if you ask them, they would say he's a, day 3, day 2, maybe pick. I think he's for sure a second-round pick. He could work his way into the first round. The guy is an absolute superstar. And if we could play matchmaker right here, and thinking of him and Zach Robinson's offense gives you that Cooper Kupp vibes that he feels like he could just be a superstar in this Atlanta Falcons offense with Zach Robinson as the coordinator.
Yeah, no doubt. The people who I was speaking to yesterday were saying, like he may have worked himself into a late first-round pick yesterday based on what was going on. Obviously, again, we've still got today. We've got the combine. We've got pro days, all that kind of stuff to discuss. But you're right. We've seen Georgia play quite a bit. We know what Lad McConkey can do. And it's funny. I saw this comparison online yesterday that I kind of agree with, just because of his route running ability and the way he moves on the field. I think it's more similar to Antonio Brown. Obviously, that's an extreme example. Antonio Brown at his peak is one of the best receivers we've seen, outside of all the off-field stuff when it comes to Antonio Brown. But as from a pure football standpoint of route running and like the chopping of the feet, kind of the way he's able to get guys off of him, it's very Antonio Brown-esque. I think based on what we've seen so far, I think that the big thing for him is just health. Can he stay healthy? We know he had some issues this past season. Didn't have that issue prior to this past season, so maybe it was just a year where he was going through that, trying to work his way back into a lineup that was trying to win a national championship. But he seemed pretty crisp out there. He told us that he was feeling a little bit rusty just because it's been a while for him since he's been fully padded and going 100%. There's no doubt in my mind that he worked himself into a first-round conversation yesterday.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot right here, but I got to hear you're there. You know this. I want to know at least one player, that maybe that I probably haven't even heard of, that, especially Georgia fans, Atlanta fans haven't heard of, that has really just started generating some buzz based off maybe even from before this stuff that people have been talking about, or that what happened in the first day.
Ooh, yeah, you did kind of put me on the spot with that one. I might have to check back in after today, because yesterday I was so focused on the Georgia players for our Fox 5 show. I might have to give you a rain check on that one, just because we will
absolutely take you on later to kind of wrap up the Senior Bowl. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
I did want to point one thing out, that the Atlanta Falcons, obviously we're an Atlanta sports show. The Falcons absolutely love taking players from the Senior Bowl. Terry Fontenot's still in the building. Obviously, Raheem Morris has replaced Arthur Smith. I don't expect that trend to kind of change in terms of the Senior Bowl. I'm going to list a few off the top of my head. These aren't just like seventh-round guys. These are Richie Grant. He was a second-round pick from 2021. He was at the Senior Bowl. Matthew Bergeron, a second-round pick from last year. He was at the Senior Bowl. DeMarco Hellum, seventh-round pick, kind of played himself into a starter's role. He was at the Senior Bowl. So this Falcons front office takes this Senior Bowl very seriously. Miles is getting us, content from Mobile. You can't get this anywhere else. Sports Talk ATL, Fox 5. Falcons fans should be taking this very seriously, because we could see the next Matthew Bergeron, DeMarco Hellums at the Senior Bowl this weekend, this Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt. And don't think that because I haven't seen Raheem Morris here that the Falcons aren't here. I have seen a lot of their scouts here. They are, like you said, they very, very strongly scout this game. It's very important for them. Through their history, obviously, I know it was really important with Arthur Smith. But Terry Fontenot has been adamant about the Senior Bowl and its importance to finding the right players for this team. So no, trust me, there's bound to be at least 1 to 2 players that they will take from this game.
Miles, I know you're busy. Thank you so much for hopping on with us today, and I'm sure I can't wait to hear what you have to say after the rest of the week.
Absolutely, guys. I'll give you more of a better scouting report coming up when I'm not paying
No
attention
problem,
to
man.
just Georgia players. Yeah, guys. I'll see you later.